So what we're going to do, we're going to start off with nutrition. So nutrition is made up of three things. You've got your carbs, you've got your proteins, and you've got your fats. Now, our body, when we move and when we live, when we do anything, we require a certain amount of energy. Now, that energy is what we need to. That energy is made up of four components. So we've got the energy we output is made up of exercise, NEAT, the thermic effect of food, and also the resting metabolic rate. So you can see there's a diagram there explaining this into the four parts. So the resting metabolic rate is how many calories we burn just if we were in a coma. If we weren't doing anything and completely sedentary, that would be our heart, our liver, all those organs. They burn energy while we're not doing anything. So we get that for free. But the rest of it, we have to actually work for. So the thermic effect of food, that's when we eat food, it requires energy to digest it and metabolize it. So that's the second part. And there's also exercise. So any walking you do, any running, any weight training, anything like that, that's your exercise. Now, NEAT's a tricky one because NEAT is when you don't do anything. It's called non-exercise activity thermogenesis. What it is like when you're not actually exercising, but you're fidgeting, you're moving around in your chair, maybe you're walking somewhere, but not actually dedicating that to exercise. So that's what NEAT is. Now, NEAT is very important because someone who has a very active job, they're gonna burn a lot more calories. And then someone who has a sedentary job, like you're sitting on a desk all day, they're not going to burn many calories at all. So NEAT is very important. And when you do diet and you have less energy and stuff like that, that's what your NEAT's dropping, and that's why your calorie expenditure is dropping as well, because you get lazy, you don't want to move around as much, and even subconsciously you do less. Now, to burn fat, to lose weight, it's simple as you've got to output more energy than you input, and that's how fat loss works. You put out more energy and you input less, so your body's going to need more energy to keep up with the demand. So that's where it's going to attack those fat stores, and that's how fat loss occurs. So energy out has to be greater than energy in. As simple as that. Now that's the basis. So eating calories, that's the king. That's the king of everything. If you don't have a caloric deficit, if you're not eating less calories than you output, then you'll never burn fat, never burn weight, never lose weight. So that's the fundamental behind everything we're going to talk about today. Is you've got to be intaking less calories than you're outputting. So even on something like, there've been many studies where people have, eaten McDonald's every day and been their entire diet, but they've been eating less calories than what they're outputting, and guess what happens? They lose weight. So I'm not telling you to eat McDonald's every day. I'm saying that energy balance is number one. So as long as you understand that, you can make this whole journey much easier. So that's why any diet works, really. You look at any diet and you follow it, it's going to work. Why? Because it's indirectly making you eat less calories, eat less energy. So, low carb, no carb, high carb. At the end of the day, it's all about calories. So to decrease so it's as simple as, to lose fat, you got to eat less, move more. As simple as that. Okay. So, but it gets a bit more. Now we dive into greater detail with this entirely. So it is as simple as that, but it can be quite hard at the same time. So like I said before, there's three macronutrients that are involved in this. There's protein, carbohydrates, and fat. Now, protein is what most people struggle to get in, because in the Western society and Western diets, there isn't much protein. There isn't much meat around. Like, you eat meat, but not to the amount that you require, especially if you are training. Now, if you're training with weights, if you're doing any sort of exercise, your macronutrient requirements change. So someone who's weight training requires a lot more protein. someone who isn't weight training requires a lot less because protein is what's going to build that muscle. However, protein is an extremely useful macronutrient. And this is because protein is has the most thermic effect out of all the macronutrients because it requires a lot more energy required for digestion, absorption, transport, metabolism, and storage. And protein also increases leptin, which is the hormone that decreases hunger, which in turn, it also burns more energy. So protein is the king of macronutrients when it comes to dieting. So and also protein is also the most filling, so the most satiating. So protein's number one. Now, carbs and fats, they are less important. So they all have their place in the human body, but when it comes to dieting, they're not as important as protein. Fats, you need a maintenance level of fats to keep your hormones in check, and carbohydrates are your immediate energy sources. Now, you don't need carbohydrates at all. Your brain does need glucose to function, but that glucose can be created through fats. That's what the ketosis diet is no carbohydrates at all. But if you go on no fats at all, your hormones will go out of whack. If you go no protein at all, you can do that, but your body composition will not be great because you won't hold any muscle mass and your muscle mass will shrivel up. Now, muscle mass is what is responsible for your metabolism as well. So when you build muscle and when you have more muscle on your body, your metabolism increases. Muscle requires a lot more calories than your fat stores. So that's why really tall people taller people have a higher metabolism than shorter people because even if they didn't train, they still have more muscle on their entire frame. So they require more energy. And that's why bodybuilders and people who train with weights, they build up muscle and they can eat a lot more. So you probably see them eating a lot more. That's because they can handle a lot more calories because they've got to feed that muscle tissue. So another big misconception is also sugar. So sugar is always seen as the devil. You shouldn't, if you want to lose weight, stay away from sugar. Now, this is not the case. Sugar is, again, it's a carbohydrate and it's a macronutrient. So we don't need sugar, but sugar isn't the devil. Sugar is only bad in excess. Same with fat, same with protein, and same with any carbohydrate. Anything in excess that leads to weight gain is going to be bad for you. So as long as you don't, just say if you require 2,000 calories to maintain your body weight, that's what we call a maintenance amount of calories. And we were eating 2,500 calories, and that 500 calories came from any source, that's going to be bad because that's going to increase our weight. Same regards in the sugar. So if we had 500 extra calories of sugar, that's too much sugar. But if we had 2,000 calories and it was within the range and we were still eating sugar, that's fine. As long as the sugar is burnt up by our body, by our energy output, it's not going to have any effects on our body, right? Now, sugar also, all of you have heard about sugar and insulin. So when you eat sugar, an insulin hormone is released. Now, insulin is a storage hormone, but it's nothing to be worried about as long as you're in a caloric deficit. The main thing here is, like I stated at the start, if you're in a caloric deficit, you'll lose weight. So you can eat your entire day of sugar. I wouldn't recommend it because sugar isn't very filling, but you'll still lose weight. And the biggest health markers the biggest health markers are due to your weight gain. So it's all in moderation. So sugar is not going to make you fat. Fats aren't going to make you fat. Carbs aren't going to make you fat. Protein isn't going to make you fat. What's going to make you fat is eating excess calories. So as long as you're understanding that, you can understand nutrition pretty well. So we'll move on now. That's the basis and the fundamentals of nutrition. How you should plan your day. Now, there's many different ways to plan your day. Like I said, all diets work. So I'm going to split it up into two categories: people who train and people who don't train. So if you train, train with weights and train at a gym, for instance, this first fundamental works across the board. So you should always aim to eat something with no carbs in the morning. So high in fat and high in protein. What this does actually is it programs your metabolism to burn more fat throughout the day. So if you were to just eat carbs, like most people do, toast and jam, cereal and milk, they're just carb sources. What happens is your body's programmed to then burn carbs and glucose throughout the day, not fat. And what we want to do is burn fat throughout the day. So it's ideal to start your day, no matter who you are, with no matter what your goal is, even to start your day with protein and fat. So something like eggs, like you know, uh, any poultry really, chicken, beef, fish, anything like that. Most people would do like a great breakfast option would be scrambled eggs with cheese, scrambled eggs with bacon. You usually choose the nitrate-free bacon because that's a bit healthier. Anything like that is going to be the best alternative for a breakfast. Once you have the breakfast like that, then we defer if you're training and not training. So if we're training, you'd want to have more carbohydrates and protein throughout your day and less fat. That way, your body's going to be programmed to, it's burning more fat, but that the carbohydrates are being utilized through the training. Now, if you're someone who's a lot more sedentary and you still want to lose fat, you keep the breakfast the same and you eat less carbs during the day because you're not using as much carbs. So your diet would be a lot richer in protein and fat, for instance. The main thing to understand is carbohydrates is the immediate source of energy, and when you're training, you should be eating more carbs, essentially. So, yeah, at the end of the day, it's the best diet for you is the one you can stick to. Adherence is key to losing any weight. If you can't stick to the diets I've said, you should do whatever works for you. If you like, low fat diets or a high fat diet, you like eating just chicken and vegetables, whatever works, do it, and stick to it. Whatever you can stick to, that's going to yield the best results. I'm just showing you what's optimal and what I would recommend for anyone. All right, so let's move on. We're going to move on to diet tips. Now, losing weight is quite challenging. It takes a long time, and it's not what you want. You don't want to be losing weight for the rest of your life because you want to just, if you have maybe 10, 20 kilos to lose, just lose it. You have to commit to a change, lose the weight, and continue from there. If you're spending years and years losing the weight, you'll always feel miserable about what you're doing. So just say you have 10 kilos to lose, for instance, you set a goal for yourself. I want to lose the weight in 6 months. And that way, you know that you're going to make a concerned effort for the next 6 months to lose this weight. If you extend it for a year, 2 years, it's going to be very long, and that never leads to a successful weight loss journey, because weight loss is, you actually have to put in effort to achieve it. You don't lose weight over 3-4 years if it's 10 kilos. You lose weight by just doing it, getting it done, and then reassessing your nutrition from there. So I'm going to tell you diet tips to help you throughout if you do ever decide to go on a weight loss journey, or you would just like to keep your health better, or whatever it may be. So the first one is a big one, and you hear this everywhere over any health thing, is drink lots of water. So water is the key to flushing out toxins, keeping your body hydrated, keeping your body healthy, and it also fills you up. So drinking a lot of water is going to mean you're going to eat less food. And, especially if you're training and stuff, drink a lot of water, because when you sweat, you're going to have to replenish that with that water. So make sure drinking a lot of water is number one. When I'm dieting especially, I like to always have a bottle next to me. That way I'm forced to drink the water. And the main thing that a lot of people don't realize is that when you feel hungry, it's usually a thirst signal, and people get that mixed up. So if you ever feel hungry and you're like, I need to go to get something to eat, make sure to drink a glass of water first, and then you might actually not feel hungry and you won't need to go off your diet or eat unnecessarily, because you just were actually thirsty. So another one I like to do, and I think I hope most people do this. I find that I find more people don't do this than you'd expect, is season your food. So seasoning your foods makes it taste a lot better, and if your food's tasting a lot better, you're going to be more likely to stick to it. There's also a lot of low-calorie condiments that you can use to make your food taste better. If you can always get, there's low-calorie sauces like tomato sauce, barbecue sauce. What else is there? There's low-calorie mayo. There's low-calorie mustard. Use these low-calorie options. Even in a day-to-day life, you're going to cut out calories that are unnecessary. So I've used low-calorie sauce, but I can't even tell the difference between tomato. I can tell the difference. Tomato sauce is really sweet for me now. So if you always they're all the same prices. Just always buy the low-calorie options. Season your foods, make them taste good and not as bland. And that way you're going to be more likely to eat them. You can make like something as simple as, I don't know, like chicken and vegetables. You can make that have exotic flavors just through seasoning alone. So Season your foods, make them taste good, and you'll enjoy the process, which is the whole idea. We don't want to suffer through this because we don't need to. You want to make it as enjoyable process, and also you'll be able to stick to it if it's enjoyable. Now, another one, this is a huge one in the media, and this is drinking diet drinks. Now, the media gets this so confused, and everyone is so under the impression that diet soda is bad for you. You shouldn't drink diet drinks. They're more harmful than sugar drinks. This is completely incorrect. Diet drinks have artificial sweeteners in it, and some even have natural sweeteners. Now, artificial sweeteners get a bad rep for no reason. Artificial sweeteners do not promote any long-term health side effects, and the only way to actually get any side effects from artificial sweeteners is if you literally drown yourself with the liquid you're drinking. It requires so much of it to actually cause any effect. There's no way you can do it. It's not humanly possible. So you won't even need to worry about that sort of stuff. I don't even understand why they still stock sugar drinks, because that's why we have an obesity epidemic in Australia, because they stock sugar drinks and people don't realize the difference. They had to change the name of Coke Zero because people didn't know it was zero sugar. And, they didn't really understand. Now, zero sugar, you're going to get 0 calories in that drink. You still get, it's not as good as normal Coke, but over time, you're not going to know the difference, and you're going to like that anyway. So stock your house. If your kids even like diet drinks, if your kids like sodas, you like sodas, make sure you choose the alternative diet sodas, and also there's diet cordials. There's low calorie juices as well, but yeah, just stick to the diet variety of drinks, especially. You never want to drink your calories. It's so unnecessary, and it's not filling at all. You drink a can of Coke with your meal, you added 200 calories for no reason at all. So just make sure you stick to the diet drinks, and that way you can have them a lot as well if you do crave them or have a sweet tooth. Another one as well is diet foods. Now, people talk about diet foods as, you shouldn't eat diet foods because they replace the fats with sugars. Yeah, that's correct. They do replace the fat with sugars, and they get rid of the fat. And what fat has 9 calories per gram, while carbs and proteins have 4 calories per gram. And so if you replace something that has 9 calories per gram by something that has 4 calories per gram, you're going to have less overall calories. And that's the idea. That's why they're diet foods, because they have less calories. So you should be actually, if you do have the option of, for instance, a lasagna, and you see a Weight Watchers lasagna, if you look at the back, the Weight Watchers lasagna is going to have less fat and less calories overall. So you should always choose that option, especially unconsciously. You should be choosing these diet options. In the long run, it's always going to be better for your health. You're going to be like, even if you're not watching your weight, like you're not committing to a 6-month plan, make sure you choose these diet options, because in the long run, down the track, maybe 10, 20 years, you won't have that extra 10, 20 kilos because you didn't check your weight. You'll probably be around the same, or even 5 kilos, but it'll be a lot less than if you didn't choose these diet alternatives. So make sure you do use these diet alternatives. They're there for a reason, and they are really helpful, especially when you're dieting, because they're less calories and you're getting a lot of volume. So another big one is that I see people do this. I think this is a big thing to do with, I don't know, just culturally back in the day, whatever you may be. A lot of people use oil. Now, oil has a lot of unnecessary calories. It's, again, I said fat is 9 calories per gram, and oil is just fat. So when you add oil, you put a tablespoon of oil into your pan. When you cook something, you're adding about over 100 calories, and you don't even taste it. So just invest in a non-stick pan. You shouldn't be using oil when you're cooking, unless you're cooking purely for taste. And if you're watching this, I'm sure most of the time you're not trying to cook purely for taste. That's why restaurants always use oil. They don't care about calories. They want it to taste better. So make sure when you're at home, you're using oil. I mean, you're not using oil, you're using a non-stick pan. That's the best policy I go by. And over time, you'll get used to not cooking with oil, and you probably won't even remember the flavor. I don't remember the flavor, and I don't ever use oil. I don't even have oil in my house. So, so make sure you do that. The next one, again, everyone tells you this. This is a great one. Eat green vegetables. Green vegetables especially are very low in calories, high in fiber, high in volume. So volume, first, fiber is very, very filling and very, very satiating. You should make sure you get a lot of fiber throughout your day. Many people forget this, important thing, which is good to reiterate. Fiber is essential for weight loss. Fiber has so many health benefits that you could even supplement with Metamucil. There's a lot of things are removed of fiber, and fiber is what keeps the digestion smooth. It keeps you really full, and like if you ever put fiber in water, you can see it becomes real gluggy and like hard to move. That's what's keeping you full. So make sure to eat a lot of fiber throughout your day, and vegetables is a great way to get your fiber in. So yeah, load your plate up with green vegetables, very little in calories, and they've got a lot of fiber. As well, they have a lot of volume. So when you eat for volume, what this means is you eat a lot of voluminous foods. So making something have more volume for the same amount of calories is actually going to fill you up. And that's what studies have shown. Something as simple as blending a drink versus an unblended drink. So when you blend a drink, it froths up and you have more volume. That fills you up more than an unblended drink, which is crazy to even think. So just make sure that you eat more voluminous food. So something I always like to eat, maybe replacing your carbohydrate source. If you're eating potatoes, you replace it with butternut pumpkin, butterscotch pumpkin, whatever that pumpkin's called. That has a lot of volume for this. Just say you had 100 calories of potatoes, and it was like 100 grams. You're going to get triple to quadruple the volume with butternut pumpkins, butternut squashes. Yeah, something like that. Butternut pumpkins. Yeah. So just make sure you always eat for volume, and your plate should be full with little calories. So lots of vegetables always helps that. Again, we talked about it. Protein intake, another great one to do if you're trying to lose weight or on any weight loss journey. Make sure to include protein in all your meals. I always recommend a protein source at all your meals, whether it's breakfast, you're eating your eggs or what have you, lunch and dinner and other snacks, or always include a protein source, whether it be meat, protein yogurts, I don't know, any protein sources. That's really going to help fill you up, and it's going to make the meal a lot more satiating and not want you to snack more throughout the day. And this is another, I guess it's a cultural thing, Western thing, is people eat a lot less frequently, so they only eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is cool and all, but if you do want to lose weight, now you don't have to do this. This is my personal opinion on the matter, is you should eat more frequently, and there's no it increases your metabolism. You might have heard that if you eat smaller meals during the day, it increases your metabolism. This is not true. However, eating more frequently is going to keep you less hungry in between your gaps and less likely to snack. So if you were to split three big meals over the day into 6 small meals, for instance, you don't have to do that, but just say you were to split over 6 small meals and have the same amount of calories, you're probably going to be more full as you're pretty much grazing over the day. So I always find eating more frequently helps me out a lot. Last one we're going to talk about is eating your last meal right before you go to bed. If you go to bed, this has happened so many times. I've seen so many clients do it. They snack before they go to sleep, and they eat a chocolate block or what have you, chocolate bars, ice creams before they go to bed. So I always make sure that I have my actual, I guess you could say, dinner or my last meal of the day right before I go to bed. So I usually split up my dinner, for example, and I have my last meal is not a chocolate block. It's not ice cream. It's, a normal meal right before I go to bed. That way I have no time in between to actually snack or feel hungry. I'm going to bed and I'm going to time machine straight to breakfast, right? So you don't need to, you just need to do it smart and just think about, make sure not to give in to your instincts. Because, when you're dieting, you're in a caloric deficit, your body's craving nutrients. It doesn't want to pull from fat stores. It wants to just whatever's easiest for it. So as you start dieting, it's easy, but once you get more and more dieting, it's harder, and you got a lot of things that get in the way. So make sure to just use these tips to help you out. Over the long run, they are going to help a lot. Just something as simple as if you do drink soda drinks and you switch your diet, you probably end up removing kilos over the next week just doing something as simple as that. So yeah, we're going to now break it up into training and what you should train and how you should train, and what sort of exercise you should do throughout the day to promote fat loss, promote weight loss. So there's different ways to train. I like to use weight training for my clients, and weight training is really, really effective because weight training is what builds muscle. And like I said before, building muscle, you're going to burn more calories throughout the day. So someone with more muscle on their body, burning more calories. So make sure with weight training, it's getting your heart rate up, which is burning a lot of calories in the session. Your heart rate's up, your muscles are working, and that's burning calories. But afterwards, and in the long term, when you have more muscle on your body, you're burning more calories throughout the day. It's a long-term investment weight training. So I like to keep it as my fundamental source of training, and then working different things in it. So how you'd ideally like to do with weight training is, if you don't know how to weight train, I'd suggest learning how to weight train and just train 3 times a day. Weight training is very simple once you get taught. There are a lot of complicated exercises and stuff, but just stick to the basics, stick to what you like, and stick to what's fun. The greatest thing about weight training is people who start doing it, they really enjoy it. And that's why going to the gym doesn't become a chore, because usually people who you see, oh, hey, going to the gym, I've got to drag myself to the gym, are the people who aren't doing weight training. They're actually going on the treadmill and doing cardio, or going on the cross trainer and doing cardio. You'd probably find it boring too if you had to just go into the gym to do 30 minutes of walking on a treadmill. I wouldn't do that as well, unless I was, trying to achieve something. So just make sure that fat loss is a hard thing. So make sure you're doing it smart. So with weight training, I focus on at least 3 times a week training with weights. If you can do more, that's awesome. You want to split it up into the best way possible where you can recover. So if you were to do 3 times a week, this is the bare minimum I recommend for anyone. Weight training 3 times a week, minimum, non-consecutive days. So you train on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you just do 3 full body workouts. Something as easy as that is going to help you so much in the long run. And even health benefits from that is going to be much more drastic than any cardio can ever give you. So if you are an older person and you want to live longer, weight train. That's the best advice I can give you. Weight training prevents so many diseases, so many cancer mortality rates are halved, neurological diseases are prevented as well. Your bone density increases, less likelihood of getting hurt through falls. All that sort of stuff is long term. And in the short term, you're also going to get a lot of bang for your buck. You're in there for 30, 40 minutes and you're burning through more calories throughout the day and after the day through building more muscle. And also when you tear your muscles and you have to repair them again, that's also, when you train with weights, you tear your muscles, and then rebuilding them burns energy as well. So you're burning a lot of energy through weight training. So make sure to get into the gym and lift some weights. Now, cardio is a tricky one. So a lot of people focus a lot on cardio, and if you're trying to lose weight, cardio does theoretically burn the most calories in the given session, but you want to do it smart, because cardio is, if you're doing a lot of cardio, you're going to burn a lot of muscle. And like I said, if you don't have a lot of muscle, your metabolism is going to slow down as well. So make sure you balance your cardio with weight training. I like to start with weight training and then work my way down by adding in cardio as I plateau throughout my weight loss journey. So for instance, if I was to start off with 3 days of weight training, and I'm losing 1 kilo a week or half a kilo a week, and then after 2-3 weeks I stopped losing weight, I would add in either another weight training session or I add in cardio. Cardio is a tool to burn fat, and running and stuff like that, that's what's going to get the heart health. But if you're walking on a treadmill, you're not really going to get any health benefits. You're just burning calories in that given time. So there's two main forms of cardio when we're concerning burning fat and losing weight. There's LISS, low intensity steady state cardio, which is walking on a treadmill, cycling on a bike, any cardio equipment that you're doing at a constant rate over a prolonged period of time, just say 30, 45 minutes or what have you. There's also a second form of cardio, which is called high intensity interval training, HIIT, which you don't see that often in gyms, but HIIT is a very effective way of burning fat, as it also increases your metabolism, and it's short and fast. So for example, LISS takes 30 to 45 minutes. HIIT takes about 10 to 20 minutes. So what a HIIT is you go 100% all out, balls to the wall for maybe 15, 20, 30 seconds at most, and then you take a rest. Then you do it again, and you just repeat these intervals over and over and over until you reach about 10, 15 minutes. So you end up burning around the same amount of calories as something like this, but it's in a much shorter time frame, but it's also much harder. So it depends what you like and what you like least in when you're trying to pick a cardio. So I would always recommend starting off, if you're new to weight training, I'd always recommend this. If you're more advanced at weight training and been weight training for a little bit, I'd always recommend HIIT. So yeah. So HIIT, the best ways to do HIIT would be running out in the park, doing it on a spin bike or a bicycle at the gym. So you do the sprints in the park is number one. Bicycle would probably be number two. Then you've got your cross trainer, which is also great to do it on, and the rower. So there's different forms of ways you can do it, but there's many different ways to do it. And there's many different ways to do cardio in general. Even a brisk walk during the night is adding cardio to your day, and that would also help you burn fat. I would be very careful of, doing heaps of cardio, because you might get bored. Number one, you might not enjoy what you're doing. And also you might, if that's happening, you might not continue with the weight loss journey. Like I said, the best way is to adhere to the journey. So whatever you can do, you should do. So if you do enjoy walks on the beach, for instance, or, you like going for a walk with your partner, like going for a walk with your dog, maybe do that once a day and see how that helps you lose weight. Otherwise you can, put focus time on sprints or bicycle sprints or anything like that, walking on a treadmill even, anything like that to burn the body fat. The main thing with this all is you want to form a routine. So this isn't moving. So you want to form a routine with everything. Like I said, consistency is number one. Adherence is what we need to achieve. Like if you're not day after day losing weight, you're going to struggle with long-term weight loss, because weight loss is very slow. It's very, very slow. So you can lose a lot of weight in a short amount of time, but it's, you got to put in a lot of effort. So just make sure you plan out your weight loss and build a routine. So build a routine, whether it be training, walking, doing any cardio, build a routine. Make sure you're doing it week in, week out. And that way, if you're every week, you're burning more fat, you'll eventually achieve your fat loss goal. What I would suggest, and what I do with all my clients, is I start off week 0, like the start of their training. I get them to weigh themselves, take photos of themselves, and get their starting point. From there, we would give them either a meal plan or a certain amount of calories to follow, and see how they change their body through that. So, for instance, the amount of calories you want to eat is dependent on how much activity you're doing, what kind of job you have, your gender, your height, your age, your weight. There's a few different things that come into it. So if you are less active, make sure you account for that. So I'd always start with, so just say someone's 100 kilos, for example, and you put them on a diet, you would then just weigh them weekly and see how their weight changes over that course of time. So for instance, I put someone, I have a 100 kilo client, I give them a meal plan to follow, or I give them maybe a certain amount of calories to follow. If they lose weight in the first week, then I know that that's the right amount. So if I'm not losing weight, that's when we need to adjust things. So you want continuous weight loss over the time you're trying to lose weight, and you want the weight to be at a downward trend. If you want to get to 90 kilos, you want to be making sure that you're losing the weight week after week. If you do tend to plateau, make sure you plateau for over 2 weeks. Otherwise, it's not a true plateau. If it is a true plateau, you want to adjust things, drop your calories, do more cardio, do more weight training sessions, move more during your day, consciously park your car further from the car park. Stuff like that is going to help you heaps. So make sure you're doing everything. Make sure you have a routine and something that's leading to weight loss. If every day you're leading to weight loss, whether that be if you're only in a 100 calorie deficit, like you're eating one less hot dog or something like that, and that's what's losing you the weight, make sure you keep that until you start to plateau. So for many people, I would recommend half a kilo a week, and then from there you can, and then half a kilo every week is what I would expect to be at the minimum required to achieve a good weight loss goal. So just make sure you're consistent, make sure you're keeping on top of things, and make sure you're doing everything that you can and you can stick to achieve your goals. Yeah, guys, and I hope you've enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. If you're not already in my exclusive Facebook VIP group, I will add you. And also anyone who watched this and has registered will also receive 2 free online consults. So thanks for watching. If you guys need any more advice, any more help, my Facebook page is facebook.com/JudeD'Souza-PT. And yeah, you can always contact me through my Facebook. I'm active all the time. And yeah, otherwise I PT out of Jets Rosanna if you're around the area. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later.